What parts of each remaining team in the conference finals should VGK replicate next season? Our thoughts coming up ahead right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Your Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Find us wherever you get your podcast, of course, and please subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. We are brought to you today by Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/lockedon. As we know, Chris, the NHL is a copycat league, and teams around the league might take a page of what has been successful with each team in the conference finals. And let's take a look today at each of the final four teams in the chase for the cup and discuss what teams like VGK perhaps could replicate next season. It is a copycat league, as we know, right? And so we'll start with Dallas. Let's start with Dallas. And the Stars defensively, they've shut down two really good teams, VGK and the Avalanche. I feel the Golden Knights should explore how perhaps to integrate pieces of Dallas's defense with a defender standing right there at the blue line. It's been a Stars centerman. It's been, be it Wyatt Johnston, Tyler Seguin, Matt Duchene. It's been successful. And you know what? The Stars defense so far has blocked 307 shots. 307 shots so far in the playoffs. It's about being in the right position on defense and then forcing opponents to shoot from the perimeter. Sounds like a pretty simple principle, but no one else has really been doing it the way the Stars have.
Sounds like Pete DeBoer in a nutshell right there. You mentioned a lot about the defense. How about Miro Heiskanen being the team leader in points scored at 13 points? That's something that you don't necessarily see too often. Otherwise, I'll definitely mirror everything you said about the defense and the fact that once a team is down, once they are losing to the Stars, it's very difficult to claw back in. Now, the same sentence, Colorado Avalanche seemed to maybe kind of find the way to do it, right? Colorado came back game one from a large deficit. Now, that was probably fatigue related, but they almost did it right in game number two as well. And then obviously the Stars kind of battened down the hatches and found a way to advance right there. So yeah, the defense of the Stars, extremely hard to come back once you're down. So that's certainly where I'll start my perspectives, I guess, on what the Golden Knights could take from the Stars. I mean, how many times last year during the regular season, Tony, was it where the previous season, the game was over, right? Golden Knights got a 1-2 goal lead, third period, or even when the game was tied, you just knew that the Golden Knights would find a way to win a game late. But last year, no, it definitely wasn't the case with Vegas for a long time.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that they would beat the Avalanche, the Stars, or the No Stars. They haven't been the No Stars since the 90s when they moved, right? I think when they moved from Minnesota to Dallas. And, I just started to like their defense. Well, saw them live, game 6 here in Vegas against the Golden Knights. And then I just if they're leading after two periods, it's just amazing the way that they put on the clamps. And then their kills have just been exceptional because they cleared the zone. So many teams fiddle-faddle around with the puck, and this is a team that just seems to clear it and get it out of the zone.
We mess with Pete DeBoer a lot, but sometimes that boring Pete DeBoering style of play gets it done. And Pete DeBoer has a relatively simple system in the sense that it's opportunistic. It's waiting for the other teams to make some type of mistake during the game, and then they get a rush chance, an odd man rush, power play, whatever it is, they just take advantage of the other team's mistakes. And Pete DeBoer is probably one of, if not the best coach in the entire NHL at creating opportunities out of another team's misfortune.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else you'd like to take from Dallas of this season? Anything, obviously, Wyatt Johnston we'd like to take now that he's 21 years old.
Wyatt Johnston,
actually live here and hang out on this trip.
It's balanced. I mean, you only have 3 players with greater than 10 points. Wyatt has 11, Robo, Jason Robertson has 12, and then Miro Heiskanen has 13. Pretty balanced after that. There's a lot of just different people contributing, but at the eye test, I'd be curious what their goals per game is related to the other remaining teams. Just looking at the goal totals, I feel like they haven't scored a ton of goals. Let's see. Actually, maybe I'll figure this out right now. They scored 38 goals in 13 games, so they're averaging just under 3 goals a game. Just under 3 goals a game and finding ways to win. So that's certainly something interesting right there. So they're winning close games. There you go. Winning close games.
They sure are, as we saw in Game 7 against VGK. Edmonton, let's move along to Edmonton now. The final matchup set there in the West. You predicted a team from the West would come out. I said the East would win the Cup. That's how we made our predictions. I also said at the start of the season, oh, Canada, I felt like a Canadian team might win the Cup. I don't know if you recall that, but we could go way back. It's on a napkin somewhere.
I got to find the clip of Christopher in our first ever Chris and Chris show predicting the Edmonton Oilers. I'll clip that. That series starts tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'll clip that tomorrow and toss that out there.
Okay, Edmonton. Well, the Oilers' special teams, especially, I think that's the focal point. The power play, something that VGK should have replicated after last season's playoffs. The way that they move the puck around, they should study it with all this extra time. That's bad. But all the extra time the Golden Knights have now, and Bruce Cassidy, the Suntan kid, should definitely be watching film right now on special teams of the Oilers. Changes need to be made for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Changes
on top of that. On top of being like so efficient on the power play, so far in the playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers have the best penalty kill so far. And their power play percentage in the regular season was 37.5%. Currently 37.5%. That's efficient. In the regular season, they were 26.3, and they were 4th in the league in the regular season, but now, I mean, they just seem to turn it on the power play, and they're going to have to rely on the power play against Dallas, a stubborn team.
Yes, but I'll also back that up with the fact that, and you hit it a little bit, Edmonton's playing defense and has gotten the right level of goaltending this season. Stuart Skinner necessarily isn't the big game goaltender I would want anchoring my team, but when you're scoring at the pace the Oilers are and the defense that they're playing, a lot of comments that I got last year on Twitter when we were just talking about end of season stuff, and people were comparing the Golden Knights and the Oilers, saying, oh no, terrible defense and terrible goaltending is the story of the Edmonton Oilers. Well, the Oilers actually had better defense and goaltending as a whole than the Vegas Golden Knights from the perspective that they gave up less goals during the regular season. That's something that people aren't acknowledging. So I guess I'll kind of start my discussion about the Oilers is what you want to take from a team like them is the fact that they have been able to reinvent themselves a little bit. Like you said, copycat league and stuff like that. But in the same breath, the Oilers aren't the Oilers of old, where if you could score 3 goals, or if you could keep, let me get my thoughts here for a second. This is a different Oilers team in the sense that they can beat you 3-2. That's what I was trying to get at right there. They've reinvented their game. They've reinvented a lot of things about their game. Well, of course, you still got that Draisaitl and McDavid doing what they do. So something the Golden Knights can really take from the Oilers outside of everything else is the fact that they're reinventing their game. The Golden Knights will need to reinvent their game a little bit, especially with different personnel. Whether Marchessault stays or goes is irrelevant to this conversation. There will be different personnel outside of the Marchessault situation, and you're going to have to get more from players. This year, the Edmonton Oilers found a way to get more out of their defense to complement their goaltending.
Yeah, I'm just curious what type of games we're going to see. They should be those 3-1, 3-2 games, you would think, based on Dallas's defensive prowess of late. But
game 1 could be choppy just because Dallas has been off for a while. Edmonton's going to come in all system, kind of guns blazing, so to speak, and then it'll probably slow down. Game 1 over. After that, maybe games 2 and 3 under, and we'll kind of go from there.
Again, if it's a copycat league, though, why don't the VGK? Because they've struggled really bad historically as a team here on special teams, on the power play unit. Why wouldn't you take something that's successful and use that blueprint for success?
because you don't have a player with Draisaitl's ability to finish on the Golden Knights. I mean, Marchessault, sure, fine, very good scorer, led the team. Outside of that, you don't really have that. And I don't even look at Marchessault as a lethal scorer. Like, that's the thing. Marchessault's a very, very good player, and I really hope the Golden Knights find a way to get him at a reasonable number. It's not going to be a reasonable number, but you really hope that's going to end up happening. You look at, and again, we're not going to compare Brendan Brisson and Leon Draisaitl to anything besides the fact that they're both lefties and they got a good shot from the circle, but you really need someone to be able to do what a Leon Draisaitl does in the right circle for that power play to work. And then you need someone as good as Connor McDavid, who literally, when there's 4 penalty killers on the ice and McDavid has the puck, 3 of the penalty killers go with him. So Leon Draisaitl just camps out, kind of like how Ovechkin made his living for such a long time. So you're mentioning taking something from the Oilers as far as the power play goes. Sure, but how much of that is coaching? How much of that is McDavid and Draisaitl just finding a way? I mean, Leon Draisaitl has 8 goals this postseason, pardon me. 6 of those goals on the power play. Here's the interesting thing. Would you have thought for a second that if I told you McDavid only had 2 goals in 12 games of the playoffs, that the Oilers would be in the conference final? Now, he has 19 assists.
I was just going to say, he's been a huge assist guy.
He has been, but again, if I told you McDavid 2 goals and Oilers advancing to the conference final, that'd be a large plus number if you can get that action in a sports book, is all I'm trying to say.
Coming up next, we have our napkin notes here.
It's the same topic, different teams.
Okay. A look at what VGK could take from the Eastern Conference finalists in the copycat NHL. We'll get to that when we return right here on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights. There is no I in team. There is an I in napkin, and there is an I in Golic. And there is also an I in Indeed. And that's the hiring platform that you need to build. When you are hiring, you definitely need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, you can interview, and you can hire all in one place instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills. Indeed's a powerful hiring tool that can really help you to do it all. With Instant Match, over 80% of the employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment that they sponsor a job, and that's according to Indeed US data. And candidates are also that you invite or to apply are 3 times more likely to apply for your job than any other candidates. And again, it's so important that you go to Indeed. We get you one step closer to the hire by immediately matching you with quality candidates. Even better, Indeed is the only job site where you only pay for applications. That's right, that meet your must-have requirements. So start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/lockedon. The offer is only good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/lockedon. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. And if you need to hire, you need Indeed. Back on this edition of Locked On Golden Knights, Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. We appreciate you doing so, especially our everydayers. WTF is on Friday. What the Friday? I almost said the bad word. That was on the napkin on the other side. And then also Saturdays, the Chris and Chris Jr. show comes your way, the YouTube exclusive. And make sure you subscribe to our Locked On Golden Knights YouTube channel. What can VGK learn from my New York Rangers in the playoffs? Wow. This is a team that actually likes each other. They are the opposite of VGK. Did I really say that? I'm trying to be positive today. Be positive. Put that on the other side of the napkin as well. They play for each other. And if they can replicate also what Peter Laviolette did to win in New York, to win the President's Cup, early in the season, right, Chris? He told the team, and then post All-Star break, he challenged the Rangers to play each and every game as though it were a playoff game. I think that's really important. because there's a sense of urgency, whereas Cassidy was like, it's on me. They don't want to win. What's going on with my team? The sense of urgency translates to every game, and now they take that into the postseason. They have that 18-4 start. It's a gritty team. And I think one thing that VGK needs to replicate is a goon like Matt Rempe. They need a goon on this team.
Rempe can play hockey a little bit, though. He's kind of that. He's not like Tom Wilson as far as from a skill perspective, but he definitely is closer on that side of it versus Ryan Reeves, who doesn't affect the outcome of games too often. Call it what it is. For me, I'm going to start with going with Alexis Lafreniere. So the story of Lafreniere, he was the 2020 number 1 overall pick during COVID bubble year and everything. Came into the league at a weird time, playing for an original 6 franchise, playing for the Rangers. Not an easy task to be a first overall pick. First season, kind of a clunker, 56 games, 21 points. That was the bubble year. 31 points, 79 games his following season. But he gets 9 points in the playoffs in 20 games. So you kind of start to see what he can bring to the table. Next season, though, again, 39 points, 81 games, still the same scoring pace for the first 3 seasons of his career. Rangers go 7 games in round 1, and Lafreniere gets 0 points. So at this point, is he a bust? What's happening with Lafreniere, right? Well, okay. Now, 23-24, 82 games, 57 points, 28 goals, 29 assists. And so far in the playoffs, he's got 10 points. So there you go. I mean, right there, the Golden Knights need an up-and-coming player. Now, Lafreniere is a first-round pick overall. Let's be clear about that. That's going to be very difficult for the Golden Knights to get a draft pick to do something like that. But they need an up-and-coming player to break out, to have a difference. This is where we really make a difference. We're looking at players like Paul Cotter. Paul Cotter is probably the first player we're going to look at as a comparable. And again, this is a very loose comparable. I get that. But someone just to have that type of outbreak. Mike Amadio kind of had a career type of season, but it goes largely unnoticed because it was, 28 points, 32, whatever it was. It wasn't a big season from an overall perspective. And of course, this is where maybe a breakout situation like Brendan Brisson or Pavel Dorofeev obviously is probably the most reasonable of the up-and-coming VGK players who can make a major difference, similar to a Lafreniere.
So Lafreniere, I just jotted down when you were talking there. He does remind me a lot of Brisson, because a finesse player when he came into the league, and he's been through now, I think, is this his 3rd coach, right? Since he's been in New York already.
Yeah, Laviette, Gallant, whoever the first coach was, right?
Quinn, right?
Or was our coach in the middle of Gallant and Laviette? I don't know, but
it was Quinn, a 3rd coach, I think. Gallant and Lavalette, right? So 3 coaches, I believe. Okay, don't quote me on that. 3 different styles. I know Gerard Gallant tried to get a lot out of him. They wanted him to be more physical. Now he's starting to scrap. Now he's gotten stronger, better. Again, a top draft pick. So there are some parallels, I think, between Brisson and Lafreniere, now that I think of that. Anything else you'd like to take from the Rangers that VGK could replicate other than just building, again, that grit and determination, which might be lacking with VGK? They had it in the Cup season, but now it's gone away, and it was hit or miss with this team. Even when whoever they fielded on the ice, they just didn't have that intensity or that sense of urgency at times.
Adam Fox, talk about him for a second. Adam Fox, blue liner, makes a difference all the time. And before we even talk about Adam Fox and his stats, he's just a fun player to watch how he holds the blue line and extends plays and finds a way to just get extra scoring opportunities by doing nearly all of the little things right. So Adam Fox has been right around a point per game player going all the way back really until the bubble season 2020-21. Playoffs, he is right around a point per game player as well. So this is really important. I mean, 40 games in the playoffs, 35 points overall. And then we compare to maybe a Shea Theodore type. Shea Theodore in the playoffs, 114 games, 68 points. Not bad by any means. But the health, I think, is the difference between the two players. Adam Fox finds a way to constantly play 70, 75, or even full seasons, whereas Shea Theodore simply is not finding ways to finish seasons healthy or play the entire season, what have you. So the Golden Knights really need a blue liner of that nature. Noah Hannafin is kind of that person, but Noah Hannafin's greatest value to the team is in his skating and his mobility. He's not going to put up Adam Fox or Shea Theodore healthy type of offensive numbers. That's just not who he is. Maybe Noah Hannafin will grow and expand his role a little bit, but having that type of player, and this is where, what Lucas Cormier is not going to become that player, I don't think. And Shea Theodore, I question his lack of ability to stay healthy. So this is really a big area of opportunity for the Golden Knights to have that offensive blue liner who can extend plays.
Interesting. Yeah, 3 coaches in the last 4 years in New York. So David Quinn, as I mentioned,
David
Gerard
Quinn, that's
Gallant.
right.
Yeah, I said Quinn
I forgot
earlier.
about Quinn, yeah.
Yeah, so Quinn, and then Gallant, and now Lavalette. The Florida Panthers, what would we want to take from them? They had that experience from the Cup final against the VGK last season. Who knows how they would have been if the series would have played out differently, if not for their injuries last year. They're relatively healthy now. They've got a lot of spark there with Matt Tkachuk and Alexander Barkov and Connor Verhaeghe. Again, this is a team that, to me, it is a tough and hard-nosed team, and one that puts a lot of bodies in front of the net. They put a ton of bodies in front of the net. And, I was going to save that. I'll save that for the next one, my stat about goalie interferences so far. But, again, the end result is that's what VGK needs to do. They need to start planning players play more physical and have that net front presence that's been lacking here.
We talked about that a lot on both sides of the ice, and Tomas Hertl, I think, is going to help fix that to a degree. Hopefully, a healthy season of Mark Stone can fix the offensive net front presence. Defense, I mean, we'll go back to this. I go back to this a million times. How many times do we see that overhead camera shot where poor Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill are fending for themselves? You see the goal, you see the goalie, you see a player on the other team. You don't see a VGK player anywhere in the shot. So defensive net front presence needs to improve. I think the offensive net front presence will take care of itself. I'll go on a little different path here. I will take Paul Maurice's relationship with his players. He had a press conference where the cameras caught him in a moment where he was just firing F-bombs and probably belittling the team and whatever it was. And then in the press conference, he says, well, I just thought they needed some profanity in their life. And he says it in a smiling type of way, of course. But right after that was the key for me in that press conference. He said, I knew what the players were going through. That's it right there. He said more than that, but that's where I stopped my perspective. I want to talk a little bit about it. So Paul Maurice, I think, has a very good relationship with the players, probably a better one than a lot of people think, because all they ever show of Maurice is yelling and swearing and flipping out. Looks like he's gonna have a heart attack every other shift out there. Looks like he's working harder than the players on the ice, if that's possible for a coach. But they play for him, and I'm not saying they don't play for Cassie. I want to be clear about that. So what I'm saying, what the Golden Knights could probably take from the Florida Panthers as far as the coaching side is Cassidy having a little more of that fire and passion. Condos, second shout out for Condos in 2 days in a row, but a little more of that fire behind the bench when things aren't going well. And then the Florida Panthers kind of bottle that up, and you see it happen on the ice. They score goals as a result of Paul Maurice just motivating them. We've heard Cassidy say this before, Tony. We've heard Cassidy say he's not the motivator type. He's not the rah, rah, rah type of coach.
Mm-hmm.
He is not the type of coach that's going to probably give you that pregame speech like a Rod Brindamore, who's going to make his players want to run through a wall for you. But maybe that is something Cassidy can improve on a little bit. Maybe that was just something, one of the gears the Golden Knights were lacking. I mean, listen, how hard do you really need to motivate your team to beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in February? Well, they lost 6-2 or something like that to the Columbus Blue Jackets in February. So, and there were other games like that, like multiple times against the Ducks and so on and so forth. So maybe that's where Cassidy lighting a spark, lighting a fire on the bench could have helped salvage a few more points, which obviously was why the Golden Knights were the 8th seed. Is that the napkin?
Yeah. Coming up
Final
next,
prediction?
our conference finals predictions. Oh, that hashtag NYR. We'll get to that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We appreciate you doing so. On Fridays, it's WTF. On Saturdays, it's that guy right there. That is Chris Jr. with the cameo. And Pops, Chris Sr. on the Chris and Chris Show, the YouTube exclusive.
Sometimes.
Okay. So we're just going to pick teams, right? We're going to just pick the series? Yeah.
Yeah, let's just go series, and we'll put a cup prediction out there. Why not?
Okay. I'm going to go. Okay. I think home ice here, I think, is undervalued a little bit. And I think that the home ice advantage could be strong here in the playoffs. I'm going to go, first of all, because defense wins championships, or at least gets you to the cup final. Is it an upset? Dallas in 6. Better goaltending, I think, with Jake Ottinger. And so I like that side of the ledger. It's kind of crazy, though. Dallas is going bananas right now. Both their NBA and NHL teams are in their conference finals. So I'm going to go Dallas in 6 there. And then you're going to have to clear the crease if you're my New York Rangers. I'm on pins and needles. And usually my hockey season doesn't last this late. The Rangers in 6 over Florida. The Panthers have had, get this, 5 goals challenged for goalie interference, and they've won 4 of those. And by winning, this is going to be one of the keys for the Panthers. If they win a goalie interference challenge, they'll win the series because they've won 4 out of 5 of those challenges, and they've gone on to win games there. Shesterkin, I think he needs to be in a zone here. You got to play well. You got to clear the crease, as I said. Philip Hedl back on the ice for my Rangers for the first time since November at the Garden. So he should be back in the lineup tonight. And then I'll just leave you with one other note here. So I said Rangers in 6. Mark Messier said, you make your money in the regular season, but you make your name in the postseason. When speaking
I love that stat.
About Chris Kreider. He was talking about Kreider and that hat trick there in the last series for the Rangers. I'm feeling it. I think game 1 is important, very important in each of these 2 series, which should be nip and tuck. And again, I think both series go 6. I'm going to go Dallas in 6, my Rangers in 6. Dallas scares the daylights out of me because of their lockdown defense, but I got to go with my Rangers. Hopefully it's shades of 1994 in the Big Apple.
All right, I'll rattle mine off fast. Starting with the Eastern Conference, my prediction early in the playoffs, before the playoffs started, was Golden Knights, Panthers in the Stanley Cup final. Get closer in the frame, Chris. Golden Knights, Panthers in the final. And my other quote was the only team that could beat the Panthers in the final in a rematch would have been obviously the Golden Knights. Golden Knights are gone. So as much as it pains me, Tony, I'm taking Panthers in 7. From a betting perspective, I will not be betting it that way. I'll tell you that right now. I'm simply sticking to my prediction at the start of the preseason, or at the start of the playoffs. I think it's laughable that the Rangers are the biggest underdog of the 4 remaining teams as well. From a betting perspective, I don't get that at all, but that's what the reality is. So Panthers in 7, shifting to the Stars-Oilers series. Oilers got something coming right now. Let's see if their defense and goaltending can hold up. Let's see if they can crack the defense of the Stars. I don't think so. I'm going Stars in 5 there. And then again, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to go Panthers over Stars in the Stanley Cup final. All right, Chris, let's start with Rangers and Panthers. What do you got? Quickly, get by the microphone.
I think Florida's had their run last season. I don't think they're getting in the conference final 2 times in a row.
Well, they are in the conference final.
I mean, sorry, this cup final in 2 years in a row.
So you're taking the Rangers.
New York in 7, and then I really think Edmonton can overpower Dallas in 6, and I'm taking Edmonton in 5.
Edmonton in 5 in the Stanley Cup final. Okay. There we go. Chris has his rating. Get the Rangers hashtag
Chris,
on there.
this
There
is
you go.
how you're tell little Chris he needs to turn in his homework on napkins now. If he wants
It's
to
all
be
digital
such a
now,
cool
dude.
kid.
Well, that's not all digital. They
Okay.
got a homework packet every
That's
week.
how we
and there you
prepare
go.
our
There you go,
shows,
Chris.
and he just exits with the mic.
Oh, he's
drop.
gone. I'll say it again. Chris did call, and I'll clip it tomorrow maybe. But Chris did call Edmonton Oilers. I want to say back in November when they were 4-11 or whatever their record was. I
That's
wish
awesome.
I would have taken his advice with
You should have.
back
You'd
with,
be hedging right
some
now.
finances. But yeah, I'd definitely be hedging it at probably 15-1 or something like that, or 20-1 even. I don't know.
I didn't put a topic on the napkin, but what did you have one in mind for tomorrow?
No.
Okay, nothing in mind.
Positive stuff. Breakout candidates.
Oh, breakout candidates.
Breakout candidates.
Oh, a positive show.
Yeah,
that
let's
might
do
take
all
2
positive
napkins.
topics tomorrow, Tony. All positive. Our first and
Well,
second.
there was nothing negative today. This was good.
No. Well,
Okay.
kind of. It was all things that VGK lacks, I guess, in a roundabout way.
No, it's good though. No, again, copycat league, and these are some of the things that they could replicate to be successful and get
Absolutely.
back to the conference final next season.
Absolutely.
We appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much. Of course, make sure that you tune in and chirp away on Friday for WTF. Saturday's the Chris and Chris Jr. show. His hair is getting like really light and redder. No? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I just noticed. It's all good.
Vitamin D getting to his head right now.
And he's tall, and he's getting taller. He's growing. He's sprouting fast. Yeah. At Saturday's the Chris and Chris Jr. show, the YouTube exclusive. We appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. And we'll see you tomorrow when we actually have a topic planned the day before. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. You have a great day, everyone. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on Locked On Golden Knights. Take care.